Hi and welcome to this fly tying session with me. My name is Casper Hansen, and today I will tie this black and green tube fly. For me, this is more or less a type of pattern more than a specific pattern, because I use this in a lot of different variations. I tie it on small double hooks. I tie it on tube flies, big tubes, depending on what kind of fishing I use these for, because I think these work more or less everywhere, and this combination of a black wing and a silver body and a red, yellow, or in this case a green contrast color, I think is more like a type of fly than a specific pattern. Today I'm gonna tie my version of this one on a tube, and yeah, let's get started. I am just gonna put on my glasses so that I can see, and then I'm gonna prepare the tubing. I burn a little color here to make sure it doesn't melt too fast. I use a 13mm brass tube, and just to make sure that it stays in place, I give it a drop of super glue here on the plastic tube. Then I'm gonna cut it here in the front. And burn. I'm a little bit cautious because I don't want it to melt too fast, so that it makes bubbles. And maybe if you can see it now, it has melted really nice and evenly everywhere. I mount this on the needle, and then I'm ready to start. I put on some black thread here, and then I just build up a little bit here so I can get it up on the brass tubing. The back part of the body is some Vives flatbraid, and I'm just gonna tie this here on the underside of the tube, like this, and then I make even wraps. This flatbraid is really strong, so I can tighten it a lot. Then I'm gonna tie it in here, pull it back just to make it extra secure. All right, then I'm gonna make the front part of the body with this SSS glitz in the Greenlander color. I'm gonna dub a nice and wide front part of the body, which almost builds up like a small ball, which also helps me when I tie in the wing later, because it's gonna give the fly quite a lift. There you are. This is the body of the fly, and I'm just gonna brush it with my simple Velcro brush here. And if I have a few strands that are way too long, I'm just gonna cut them out. All right, now we are ready to start building up the wing. At first, I'm gonna use some green or chartreuse polar bear, which gives me this quite glossy look, but also because of the stiffness of the polar bear, helps the wing get a lift when I tie in the softer hair on top of that. I take out a nice bit of this, remove the underwool, brush it so it's nice and even, take away the longest hair, and then I have a nice bunch here. This I just measure up, okay, how long do I want it? Maybe about 1 centimeter longer than the tubing. I'm gonna tie it in reverse. So now I have the hair here between my 2 fingers, and I'm gonna put it down on top of the tube. I make 3 loose turns to make sure that the hair is placed where I want it to. Pull it back just a little bit, and then I tighten the thread. 2 more wraps, and then I pull back. And I press down. I use my thumbnail here to make sure that it's placed right and evenly. Yeah, there you are. As an extra thing, I just put on a little bit of super glue here, because the polar bear hair is a little bit stiff and can be a little bit tricky to work with. So now I'm sure it won't go anywhere. Next part of the wing is some soft chartreuse hair. Take a small bunch out. Brush it first, and then as you can see, maybe I need to taper it a little bit. I can take away the longest hair on the sides, and then I pull the sides back a little bit here, so I get a nice taper on this part. I want this to be maybe 1.5 centimeter longer than the first part of the wing, and I tie it in the same way, reverse. The reason why I do this is because when I do it like this, the wing will never get loose or fall off or whatever. But also, because I have this part here, when I tie up against that, it lifts the wing even more, so I can get a higher profile and a big volume on my wings without using too much material. And it stays in place because I do it this way every time. Yeah. Then I will put in a few strands of some SSS Angel Hair HD. I take just 2 strands and I double them. So I tie them in on one side here, pull them back with a small angle so they lie like a V here over the wing. Yeah. And then I cut them in different lengths. Now I'm ready for the first hackle, and I use this chartreuse soft hackle. This whole chartreuse color I think is really nice for especially fishing in Norway, but also in this type of fly it works as a contrast to the black part of the fly, the black overwing. So when I use my knife, as you saw, I just make sure that all the hackle fibers are on the same side. Now I can cover the part of the fly that I just tied in. Alright, now we are ready for the main wing. I use again some nice soft black hair. Just brush it through before I pull out. Again, I have to make sure that I don't use too much hair. So. The black color can be very dominant in a wing, so I'm always very cautious about taking too much of that. I don't want an all black wing. I want a 50-50 more or less black and green fly. This black wing should be at least 2 centimeters longer than the green wing to give it this nice taper. I'm making sure that it's tied in on top. Yes, like this. Now I'm putting in a few strands of flesh. I have this very nice chartreuse flesh, which I think suits this fly very well. And then I'm gonna take something for this rainbow back, and I think I'm lucky I got a silver one here. Yeah. Again, I tie it in on top of the wing, but with a small angle, so that when I double it, I get this V form, which you might can see here, so that I have flesh lying in the whole wing. I'm not gonna cut it until the fly is done. Now I'm gonna tie in the second hackle. I'm gonna use a black pheasant rump patch, which has some really nice long fibered hackle feathers. I can really recommend these. Again, I tie it in, I pull it back, cut away the tip, and then I use the knife to make sure all the fibers are on the same side. I have a nice black hackle here that blends in nicely with the chartreuse one. And I'm just going to pull the fibers down a little bit because I have one more wing that needs to be tied in. And again, I use some soft black hair and just soft and short bunch here. This I'm gonna tie in a bit shorter than the longest wing, no, quite a lot shorter actually, to make it the whole form of the wing even more visible. Maybe half as long as the longest hair on the first black wing. And as you'll see when I finish, when I just brush them through, they'll mix in together very nice. Then I'm gonna cut off the wrist here. Make sure you don't cut your thread. Yes. And then I'm just gonna change the color of the thread here to this. And then for the last part, I'll tie in a few of these lovely jungle cock feathers. Put them on top of each other, make sure that they have the same length. Take away this most fluffy part. And then I'm just gonna tie them in on each side. I'm just gonna take the stems here, pull them back, and then just form a nice and even head, covering up. more or less. Yes. And now all that's left is just to trim the flesh so that it's in the right length. And then I'm just gonna, as I said, brush the wings together. And there you are, a black and green in the version that I tied in. And now you have this very big one for the, maybe the dune fishing in Norway or wherever you go. And later in the season, you would maybe use the same fly but in smaller sizes on double hooks, and maybe that's the right choice for you then. No matter what, this is a really nice type of fly, type of pattern, and you can change the contrast color to whatever you need or whatever you want or whatever you believe in. So yeah, that was the black and green.